Hi everyone! So in this video, I'm just going to go over how to solve and graph compound inequalities. The example we're going to do is -4 is less than or equal to 2x plus 4 is also less than or equal to 10. So remember that when you have two things that are combined, right? We have two inequalities. Now we have an and statement, right? Because this is the same thing as saying 2x plus 4 is greater than or equal to -4 and less than or equal to 10. So it's a conditional, compound inequality. Okay, so how do we solve this? Well, we solve it the way we always solve equations, right? So we're going to subtract 4 from all sides. Okay, this is something a little different, but we have to remember that each inequality almost has a wall, and you're doing the same thing on each side of the wall. So when we subtract 4, we end up with -8, and I'm going to bring down my inequality each time so I don't get confused. 2x plus 4 minus 4 is just 2x is less than or equal to 6. My final step is to divide by 2. Because I didn't divide by a -2, I'm not going to flip any inequalities. And I'm going to just have -4 is less than or equal to x and less than or equal to 3. Finally, we're going to go over how to graph that on a number line. So what you do is you make yourself a number line. You're going to plot -4, 0 always, and 3. I go to -4 and I color in my circle because -4 is part of my solution. And I'm just going to look at this piece of the inequality, and it says x is greater than or equal to -4. So when I graph it, I go to -4 and I go greater than. Then I'm going to just look at x is less than or equal to 3, which means I go to 3, color in my circle since 3 is a solution, and I go less than. Because it's an and, one more time, I graph, or my solution is where these two things overlap. So they both must be true. So this shaded in area is my solution. And the way to write the inequality in interval notation is to say -4 bracket, because I'm including the solution, comma, 3 bracket. And that's it. So now that we talked about an and compound inequality, we're going to talk about the other type, which is or. The example we're going to do is, -3x is less than or equal to 9, or x plus 8 is less than -5. Because it's an or statement, we're only going to solve each of these separately. So what I mean by that is I'm going to just look at -3x is less than or equal to 9 and solve that first. So how do I solve that? Well, I'm going to divide both sides by -3. And because I divided by a negative, right? Whenever you divide by a negative something, you have to flip the inequality. So now instead of a less than or equal to sign, I'm going to have a greater than or equal to. So x is greater than or equal to -3. Or, how do I solve x plus 8 is less than -5? I am just going to subtract 8 to both sides. And I'm going to end up with x is less than -13. Now I have two inequalities joined by an or, and we're going to graph this on a number line. I'm going to plot -3 and -13 and 0. Be careful that negative 13 has to be on the left of negative 3. Now, x is greater than or equal to negative 3. You go to negative 3, you shade in the circle because negative 3 is a solution. And you're greater than, so you go to the right. For x is less than negative 13, you go to negative 13. And I'm going to leave this circle empty because negative 13 is not a solution. And because it's less than, I go to the left. Because my statement here says or means you include everything under the solution. So if you remember, when we saw it on a Venn diagram, an or represented everything. So for this, I'm going to shade in everything underneath the graph. Okay? Well, how do you write that as an interval notation? You still go all the way to the left of the solution, right? How far can you go? It's negative infinity. You never touch negative infinity, so it's parentheses. Comma, negative 13, which is not a solution, so I'm just going to have a parentheses. Or, and you can actually write or. My next smallest number is negative 3 included, so bracket, all the way to positive infinity. And that is how you represent this compound inequality in interval notation.